What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Yamcast. This is episode 7, and we are starting it off right and silky smooth with our new podcasting setup right here. Look at this. Look at this audio quality right here. Look at it. Because it's so good you can see it now. Today we got a good one for you guys. We're going to be looking at a fun bit of news. Got a cool electric bike and then a Neo retro bike that might surprise you a little bit. We're going to be taking calls from our guests over on Discord. And then Spite and I are going to look at some funny comments. And then we're going to be chatting about what's going on with us. I feel like we give back to you guys a lot. So we're going to self-indulge a little bit and have some fun. Spite, you ready for this one?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Alrighty, Spite, so we've got this really crazy looking electric bike starting us off today. Let's just take it all in and just look at it really quick. So you've got something that basically looks like, honestly, it kind of looks like a giant Grom.
It kind of does with that yellow paint scheme.
Yeah, and then with the hubless wheel, with no final drive, it's got some super bizarre new final drive setup on it. So who makes this thing?
Well, let's pull up the article. I have no idea who makes this motorcycle, tell you the truth.
Is it The Verge?
The Verge TS in action. So is it? This is such an unknown, completely out of left field for me. Let's see if we can't get a couple more details. The hubless rear wheel was designed in Finland, where the bike will also be produced. So we know the Finns make some indestructible phones. I guess we'll see if this motorcycle's as robust.
Yeah. So standout feature on this bike is 100% that hubless system. It's like nothing I've ever seen. And I think they're banking on the fact that, people are going to look at that and just be completely, sort of wow and shocked by it. It's on some Rossi 3s, I think, which is a pretty aggressive tire. That's pretty cool.
And it's got Owens.
Yeah. As it should, because if I saw correctly, the price point is, I think, above $25,000.
$26,950.
That's a spicy meatball.
Yes,
that is a spicy meatball of a bike.
This thing is absolutely wild looking, though. This is like when you think about, a cyberpunk future movie or video game or whatever. This is the bike that the main character is always riding on.
Totally.
Like this is just so beyond like what I think of motorcycles. It
looks like a drawing, It looks like a drawing of some sort of concept of something that couldn't possibly exist,
How does the hubless wheel work? Do we have a section in here that's going to tell us how?
Further up, it mentions how the motor is actually in that wheel.
Yes, that's right. The motor is hidden in the rim of the hubless. Okay, that's wild.
Yeah. I have no clue how this turns or works, to be honest.
And it's not a small electric motor either, rated for 107 horsepower. With the magnets and copper spread so far from the axle rotation, the motor's pumping out a mind-melting 735 foot-pounds of torque.
Now, I feel like that's a typo. How could it possibly produce that much torque? That's more than like a diesel truck.
But they say here 1,000 Newton meters.
That can't be, because like a diesel truck makes like 600 or 700, right? Like something like a dually or whatever.
Yeah, no, that is a face-melting amount of torque. That is just, like, how would this even be rideable?
It seems like it would just rip itself apart if it had that much torque.
It's
completely, but maybe because it's not attached to any final drive or chain, it can do that because, does it like float or something?
It must. This also helps the bike achieve a sub 4 second 0 to 60.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
With 735 foot-pounds of torque.
At the top end, the bike can reach an electronically limited 112 miles an hour.
That's always the most interesting thing about these electric bikes, except for that one blue one, the Lightning. Most of them have pretty low top speeds. They kind of peter out at about 120, 125.
Well, that's the thing about these electric motors, because they don't have any gears or any kind of reduction to them. They just have the one gear.
Yeah.
That's why you see you have people talking about gear ratios and how one gear is taller than the other. What it allows you to do is it allows you to make the power more usable at different speeds. You can't do that with one of these engines. It's actually not an engine, it's just a motor, and it just spins and spins and spins. Mm-hmm. So eventually it would just spin till it rips itself apart.
Yeah.
So you have to limit it somewhere. But the thing about these electric bikes, from what I know, and I've ridden the Energica, oh boy, I forget which one it was, but it's the Energica naked-ish bike.
You rode one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I've only ridden a Zero, the little supermoto they have.
The Energica is like the Ducati of the electric bike world. Yeah. And they have a savage mid-range.
Yeah.
They're absolutely unreal. Like, we talk about how much push the Busa has. This thing is just like, it's one of those bikes where if you're not paying attention, you're at, where we would consider like 4,000 RPM in a standard motorcycle, and you just crack the throttle wide open, the bike will just loop out from under you. They have that much power. It was actually a big thing for the original Zeros when they first came out. The mid-range was just so unwieldy that people would just loop these bikes going down the street.
Yeah. Power has never been an issue with electric bikes.
No.
We can make a lot of power out of a battery, but the two problems have always been range and then price. That's always been the issues with electric motorcycles, which both of those, so range is going up and price is going down, which is nice, but we're still not at the point where I think it makes a whole lot of economic sense.
No.
Only that new, I think it's the Zero SRF, the fully fared one that they have now.
The SRF is the
That's the naked
supermoto.
one.
I think isn't SRF the
I think it's the
supermoto?
naked one, yeah. But they just made this, I think it's like this blue one. It kind of looks like if an Interceptor and that big Yamaha cruiser had a little baby. That's what it looks like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll put up a picture of it so you all know what we're
it's an
talking
interesting looking motorcycle, but that's one of the newest ones out of Zero's lineup that's the most affordably priced one relative to the features you're getting. And, everybody that rides these electric bikes, they just give a really unique experience. That's the big thing about them. Like, you buy an electric bike because you want that explicit experience out of a motorcycle. It's unlike anything else. And it doesn't really have a good comparison, Like, you could ride a Zero and then you could ride a Ducati. I mean, they're totally different. So, if that's what you're looking for, you get it. But this, I think, if they can actually bring it to market, is one of those things where, like, it looks so insane that it will sell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you'll see on movie sets overnight. Just because they can do so much. That hubless rear wheel is just like instant future movie fodder.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting that it's automatically coming out and punching into Harley-Davidson Livewire and the entire Energica lineup right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I mean, the Livewire has kind of no business existing in this market, let's be honest. It's just not a very good motorcycle. It's not a very good electric motorcycle. But the Energica bikes are legitimately good motorcycles. And you kind of got to come correct because they're the Ducati of electric bikes.
Yeah, and then Zero, I think, kind of fits like the big four realm of electric bike. They've been around since for like 10 years or something. They've been doing it for forever. I'd say kind of like the standard electric bike. Yeah. So this is really neat, but what's up next? We have pretty much the polar opposite of this bike.
Yeah, no, you wanted to go with just absolute face-melting torque or like 5 torques.
So this right here is a very interesting motorcycle in that it is basically a old school like 1940s desert like army military motorcycle, but very, very modern. So Spite, what are you kind of getting out of this one?
Well, first of all, this looks like something out of the North Africa campaign. I mean, it's like out of World War II.
I love the tan color and like the sort of leather tank grips right on the side there, and the transverse mounted license plate.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so very cool looking.
Yeah.
It's very, very period correct, but the crazy thing, let's see if I can find the picture real fast. Look at that dash right there. Does that look familiar to you?
It looks a little familiar to me. It's actually a Ducati Scrambler dash right there. So that's pretty cool that they've taken it from there.
And, I mean, that just goes to show how modern this motorcycle is, despite having, these crazy old looks about it.
That makes me wonder, I don't think it's using the Ducati Scrambler's air-cooled engine. No, it's using a 397cc air-cooled single. So that's pretty, I'd say, like, quote-unquote, period correct, right? Like, those kind of bikes back then used to use very rudimentary, very simple single-cylinder engines. But given that dash, I have to assume that it's EFI, right? I don't think this is carbureted.
Well, I mean, the dash doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be EFI. You'd like to think it's electronically fuel injected. Let's see if we can't see
if they somehow
side there.
mated it up to the dash, that they'd kind of get everything else electronic. But yeah, you're right. You never know.
Can we get a close-up of the... I'm looking behind the engine. I'm actually not seeing any carburetors, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think this is an electronically fuel-injected motorcycle that looks like this. So you get the reliability of a modern engine, fuel injection, and it's just theoretically should work.
What's interesting is this style, I think it still hasn't been tapped in yet by the sort of hipsters and like people who are very stylish when it comes to motorcycles. I think like 60s and 70s cafe bikes, brat bikes, scramblers. I feel like this is the last frontier really of, kind of classic looking bikes that we haven't really tapped into yet. And this look is really reserved mostly for like, Sotheby's auctions or, Vincent Black Shadow, like, people who like those kinds of bikes like this stuff. I don't think this is as mainstream or cool as a cafe or a scrambler yet.
Well, the Indian audience would have you know
Uh-oh.
that the Royal Enfield is already doing this.
I guess that's true, yeah.
You look at this and if you want a modern version of this that's not so limited, you get a Royal Enfield.
Yeah. I love the shock in the back seat there for the passenger. That's very
and look
old school.
Look at the saddle horn too.
Yeah.
Like that's usually you get like a little strap for them to hold on to. There's like a legitimate saddle horn.
What's really cool about this is with the dash and some of the other fits and finish, I mean, you look closer, and unlike a super old bike, which was built super rudimentary, this thing's got fit and finish.
Yeah, totally.
You look closer and closer, and it's really nice.
Like, we pull this up, all of the wires are fed into the right places. They're not just kind of dangling. You don't see any extra bits and bobs that you wouldn't want to see on this
The welds
bike.
look clean.
Yeah.
Everything looks really nice on it. The wheels are a really nice touch.
I like the tan rims with the black spokes.
Yeah, super nice.
It's like somebody actually thought about that.
Yeah.
Let's see, do they have a price on it? Because they're custom made and limited edition, so probably not.
They're like, if you have to ask.
Yeah. All right, here we go. It's priced at 4,000.
So 5,000 euro.
That's not bad.
That's really reasonable. Yeah, which I say right there, which is really reasonable.
Yeah.
That's really cheap.
That's actually shocking to me, believe it or not.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, it's a 397cc single. It's pretty chill and simple. But you're right. If it's like a handmade type of thing, I thought it'd cost at least like 8 or 9.
Well, I mean, our Duke's the same size.
Yeah.
And it's plenty pokey.
It's printed out in a factory, though. That's the difference.
That is true.
Yeah. Unfortunately, MASH motorcycles are only distributed in France and Germany, so
you'd have to import it.
Yeah, you have to import it or live there.
This particular model is limited to just 103 units. For something that limited that they're charging that little money for it, that's crazy.
That is crazy. So you're talking top line revenue, this is $500,000. Like, it's not much, This is definitely like a passion project type of thing, But I think it's great. I think, like I said, nobody's, other than Royal Enfield, like, people aren't really thinking about World War II era looking bikes like this as being cool, but I think they could be.
Oh, totally.
Like, the tan look is so different.
And, the only real problem I have with this is the seats are hard mounted with the, springs underneath them. I really don't like the feel of a bobber seat at all.
Yeah.
Just give me a nice cushy suspension. They say that the swing arm is not hard mounted, so... it's able to move, so it's got shock absorbers in the rear. So one wonders why the seats aren't just hard mounted, but I guess it's an aesthetic thing too.
My favorite thing the article says is it rides on semi-knobbly tires for light dual sport action. And I'm just seeing that exhaust hanging low like that, and I imagine just casing it into a rock and just blowing it up. I think it's a little too pretty to be dual sporting it, but it's kind of rugged. I could take it. It's probably light and nimble,
Is this a two-stroke? Because look at the exhaust. Why are there two pipes coming out of a single cylinder?
They can't sell a two-stroke. There's no way.
Really?
Yeah.
What about the KTM? The KTM still makes a factory two-stroke. Do they only sell that in the States?
It's off-road competition.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
like the KTM 300.
Yeah, whatever
EX,
it is.
TPI, ABC, DFG. Yeah, it's a factory competition machine.
Well, I mean, this thing is a very cool little blast from the past.
Super different. I like that people are doing stuff like this. Really different. Yeah, it's cool. All right, everybody. With that, let's move on to the call-in section. All right, everybody, we're now moving on to the call-in section of our show. Remember, if you want the chance to call in, go to yammynoob.co, sign up for our Discord server, and then you will get access to an @everyone where we send you a number, and then you can call and talk to us, which sometimes people do and sometimes they don't. Some weeks they're shyer than others,
Yeah, I think it depends on today. Today we might have a hard time getting some folks because we are scheduled a little bit early because of a big surprise this Friday. Tune in.
Yep, whole schedule got turned around because of that big surprise.
Well, while we're waiting for somebody to call, let's switch over to a question left in here. Let's see. Y'all ever thought about getting an oddball bike for the giveaway series, a Ducati or an Enfield or something like that?
I think we've mentioned this before where it's kind of like, we get people to vote on them and that kind of stuff. And, if people do want to vote on a more oddball bike like that, totally cool to go and get it. But they get so few views and interest in them regardless, except for our Indian audience, which really likes the Royal Enfields. But other than that, I think it would be kind of tough to justify a Ducati or an Enfield. What do you think?
I mean, personally, I would love to have a Ducati, just because they're so silly. If you guys have never ridden on one, they're very unique because the way the transverse twin sits in the chassis, the whole thing squirms side to side. It's got a lot of character and a lot of personality to it. But again, we do have to kind of balance what we want to see and what y'all want to see, because if you don't watch it, it's going to end up like the DRZ. So,
yeah, and we don't want to end up like the DRZ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we all know your DRZ's in the corner, all broken and sad.
And
we don't want to end up like that.
I don't need another broken and sad motorcycle.
Yeah, a Ducati would be cool. I've never ridden a Ducati, so that might be interesting. Yeah.
I think maybe we should do a fun shootout would be doing like a weird esoteric bike. Like you go pick one and find it on like Twisted Road or something, and then I go find one.
Yeah.
And we just do like a weird motorcycle shootout, something like that.
If I remember correctly, Austin, the guy who runs Twisted Road, has a Ducati. If I remember correctly.
That would be fun.
Austin, if you're watching, let me know, because I'm pretty sure you have a Ducati, but I can't remember correctly. What other comments did we get on here?
How would you rank each of the bikes in the Yammie Cube office inventory on Yeet Energy alone?
Well, I think our number one right now is the special secret giveaway bike that's coming this Friday.
Yes.
That is the highest Yeet Energy bike we've ever seen on this channel.
And of course, it's that big red mobility scooter from last week, spoiler alert.
It's actually the red bike lift we got, which someone left a comment. They're like, is that the big red reveal? And I was like, that'd be kind of funny, but no, it's a real motorcycle. But the secret special giveaway bike is number one, for sure.
Absolutely.
Number two, probably the Busa, honestly. Like, that's pretty high Heat energy on that thing. What would you say is number three?
The triple.
The triple.
Just because that thing
I feel like we're just going in order of power.
Well, I mean, the triple just makes power everywhere, and it feels like it always wants to go. And then actually next, I would put the XSR instead of something like my Interceptor.
I would say the Duke for next, for Yeet energy.
Yeah, you're right, because it just wants to
It wants to wheelie, it wants to slide around and stuff, Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say the Interceptor is very low Yeet energy.
Very low, yeah. The Scrambler as well, pretty low Yeet energy. Pretty relaxed, pretty chill. The race bike, I can't even, I feel like it exists outside of this realm that we're talking here. Because it's 100% Yeet energy all the time. You have to ride it that way. It doesn't really do anything else. So... Would you miss any bikes?
The only thing is probably my beat up, sad excuse for a DRZ, which
That's
currently
pretty high.
is 0. But when it's going to get done, it should be right near the top.
Yeah, pretty high. Kyle, you are on the Yamcast. How is it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Good. Are you an active Discord boy? What's your handle?
My Discord handle is just like it's Kyle.
Oh, that's very creative. I commend you for that.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Nothing much. How are you doing?
I'm good. We just got the new podcast situation here. Got the new mics. Feeling pretty good about that. We also got a drone, and I've already crashed it, so I feel great.
How bad is it?
I broke a couple propellers, so it'll live. It'll live to see another day.
What's the podcast going to be on?
So we're trying to put it on like Apple and Stitcher and I got to figure out where to put it all in the different places. But right now it's just on YouTube.
You want to talk about motorcycles?
We can, or whatever you want, man. It's your time to shine. If you got a question, a comment, whatever you want.
I got a Ninja 500 from the 90s.
Okay. Do you like it?
It's all right. The person before me put stickers that were like autism awareness on it because their kid had autism, and their kid sadly like passed away.
Oh no!
And they just wanted to ever see the bike again, so they gave it to me like really cheap.
Wow. Yeah. It's pretty brutal, but you know, I guess if you don't want to be reminded of that. Yeah, the Ninja 500 is an interesting bike. There was a buddy of mine who had one a while back that I used to ride with. It was funny. His was from like 2006, but I feel like the 500 has looked and behaved and kind of been the same since like the 1980s. They haven't really done much to it.
Yeah.
Is yours it's like the really blocky kind of older one, right?
Yeah, it's a 93. It's all right.
Wow. The fact that thing's still kicking.
What were you saying? Not like someone else talking.
Oh, just the fact that it's still kicking is pretty amazing, to be honest. I mean, that bike's as old as I am.
Yeah, it ran nice.
You say ran, is that past tense? Is it no longer run?
Oh, it didn't for a minute, but it runs good now.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
That's good. Is it your first bike?
Yeah. I thought it was a Ninja 250. Like, the dude had it listed as a 250. And I get on it, and I'm like, oh, damn, this is a little torquey. And then I get in first gear, let off a little bit, get back on it, and the front wheel gets back in the air. I was like, okay, something's up here.
You're like, this 250 feels a little quick. There you go. You got double the displacement for the same price. Then that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, it's been nice talking to you. Did you have any other questions or comments you wanted to shoot our way?
Not really. I'm just going to ask how you been with all the stuff going on.
With all the stuff, you have to be more specific, man. I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get the video monetized, bro.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. That old Rona. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely changed a lot of normal everyday life. I was actually talking to you, Spite, about this the other day. We were out on a ride where I realized that for me, going on a ride and not going to get like a sandwich or a coffee or a juice or just stopping somewhere along the way actually kind of like destroys the whole ride for me. It feels really incomplete. So that's been a really weird thing for me personally. Spite, you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks. My group used to have weekly bike nights, and it would be like 3 hours every Tuesday, and we'd go to various bars and get a drink, have some really good food, and then just sit and talk for hours straight. And then we would ride on the weekends, and we can't do that anymore. And that really kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to when this is all, you know, whatever we get for normal afterwards. I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, Kyle. It's been nice talking to you. We'll catch you on the Discord, man.
Yeah.
All right. Later. Nice casual chat with Kyle there.
Yeah.
He's very low key and kind of called in. I don't think he really knew where he wanted to go with it. I was kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
And then Bob over here next to us is just holding a bike at 6,000 RPM for some reason. All right.
We're going to test exactly how good the gain and sound quality is.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get back to that question we were dealing with on the front end
let's
of this.
head back over there. So this question was asking, it said, so after watching the Street Triple video, how would you address if someone wins that, gets it, or doesn't like it or thinks it's too much? Would you rather them sell it / trade it or just keep it since they got it for free? I was running through scenarios and just curious of your opinion. So I was mentioning earlier, you know, we had a guy who won the FZ07 who decided that, you know, because he had a CB900, didn't really want the FZ07, he liked his other bike better, and he sold it. And that kind of ruffled some feathers. People were kind of like, oh, you know, why would you sell the bike you won for free? This is the Yammie Noob giveaway bike and all that. But I didn't really have hard feelings about it. I was like, you know what, if you want to sell it, you know, title's in your name now, you do whatever you want with it. And he sent me a really heartfelt message afterwards being like, that really helped out my life. I was able to move out. I was able to do this and that. And to me, that's a net positive. I thought that was a really good thing. What do you think about if someone wins a triple and, thinks it's too much or that kind of stuff?
I think the biggest thing for the triple is understanding that it is really not a beginner bike, despite it's still living under the beginner bike moniker.
Mm-hmm.
I would understand if somebody got it and was like, this is not the bike that I'm looking to own, and they sold it.
Yeah.
Because here's another way to think about it. If the bike is too much for them to own, or they don't like it and they sell it, and then they go with that cash, get the bike they want, it's like they got the bike they want no matter what. There was just some extra steps, but
yeah,
I'm not really that possessive. It would suck, sure, for a minute, but I'm okay with people just doing what they want. Again, it's their bike.
Yeah. Like, I imagine if you won the street triple, I don't think you'd keep it.
No.
Yeah, but I could imagine you selling it and then having a nice fat stack of cash in your pocket and going and get the Harley you want.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And then, here we go.
Hello, you are on the Yamcast. What's going on?
Hello, it's Leighton from the Discord, the guy with the SZR400.
Oh, how's it going, man?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. Not too bad. Bit late in the UK, but it's all right.
Yeah, we do tend to do these at our time, which we feel is kind of normal, but then for the international audience, it usually is pretty late. It's like 11:30 over there, right?
Yeah, which is cool. To be honest, I'm usually up until like 3 in the morning because I run a pub when they're not closed.
Yeah. Pub life. Yeah. It doesn't exist now. It's so sad.
No, it's really strange. I tell you, it's like a ghost town. It is weird.
Yeah.
So I have like a bit of a controversial opinion that I see what you guys think. I think the best years for road bikes were between sort of the late 80s and 2007. And the reason I say that is because bike companies took more risks, but on top of that, like, as much as new bikes are fantastic, like the new R1, like, they're fantastic bikes, but they're not great road bikes, if that makes sense. They're not. You can take them to a track, and they're fantastic, but they're not very good road bikes. Whereas I sort of feel that 2007 and before, they were still good road bikes. Like an 04 R1 is probably like one of the best road bikes you can buy. Anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Honda had a really strong philosophy around that in the 90s as well. I mean, the Fireblade was always meant to be the road-going leader bike, right? And I really think it's because in the last 15 years or so, they all got so specialized and all motorcycles got so really good at the one thing they're supposed to be good at that they forgot to be good at other stuff too. Like you said, like a brand new S1000RR or something like that. Still a decent road bike, but it's at the end of the day a complete track weapon. So we've kind of sacrificed motorcycles at the altar of performance in their relative fields to make sure that they're really good at one task. Splat, what do you think?
I completely agree that it stops at about 2007. Yeah. And again, the personal biases, I had a 07 919. That was the most fun bike I've ever owned. And ridden.
Fantastic bike.
Yeah, I mean, they're so much fun. They're so torquey. And all of those bikes really hit a butter zone of about 100 horsepower.
Yep.
They weren't screaming engines like you see nowadays. And you can get close to using 100 horsepower on the street.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, as much as it's awesome to say that you have this leader bike that is so absolutely, ultimately powerful, who cares? Because it's still just going to go 80 miles an hour on this freeway. So just get something that's comfy and nice and has a little bit of cool factor and still has those two sweeping analog dash, tack and speedo. Absolutely.
You know what I'm thinking of is your VFR kind of fits the bill. Honestly, yeah. I mean, it's comfortable, it's sporty, it's got the sweeping tack, right? It's sort of a modern interpretation of those bikes gone by, but they don't sell a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
I have a VFR as well, although an older one. I have the pre-VTEC model, and it is amazing. Like, it's only 100 horsepower, but the torque that V4 has is just another level. It's just such a great laugh, and you can use it all that torque on the straight without like killing yourself.
And the sound, it's so good.
the intake sound. I don't know. I haven't really ridden the newer ones, but the intake sound on mine is insane. Something great. It just sounds absolutely insane, like going down the road. But yeah, no, they're great bikes. But yeah, I think that's sort of my opinion. Also, I think the interest in bike. We apart from the H2, I don't really think there's any been like really interesting bikes that have come out. Like I'm trying to think like in the sort of 90s and the 80s, you had like weird turbo bikes. You had bikes which had strange swing arms. You had stuff where like I think Yamaha did one where they put a swing arm on the front of the bike as well with the back, so it didn't have front shocks.
Yeah, it seemed like for whatever reason during the 80s and 90s, manufacturers from really big companies they were just kind of willing to just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. It seems like nowadays they're not as willing to take those kinds of really big risks, like making a transverse twin turbo bike or like you said, a double swing arm bike, like really out there stuff, or oval pistons like Honda had. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really seem viable in today's world of probably razor thin margins and just kind of conservative companies in a way,
Mm-hmm.
It's very true, yeah. And I think obviously in fact, money's important, and you can't really expect people not to make money on things, and that's understandable. But it's also a bit of a shame. I think it loses the essence of like what some of these companies are built on. Especially when like as much as Ducati are great, and it's nice to see them reliable, like relatively reliable anyway, and see them like sort of do really well and things like. Sort of think the fact that they're now owned by Audi. Is it Audi who owns them? Some.
I think I thought it was Volkswagen or some big group. Yeah,
it's VW.
Yeah, I think it's VW. Yeah, they scooped up Lamborghini. They're like, might as well take Ducati too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sort of loses a little bit in my eyes of the craziness about them, because you just know that they're not going to leave you stranded at the side of the road.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun of riding.
Definitely.
In some ways,
yeah.
they say the same about Lamborghini, don't they? The last year, like Lamborghini was a Diablo.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
But I mean, if you want a bike that's still raw and still giving you that kind of fun factor of an old, roadster style bike from the 80s, it's got to be a Harley.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Hayabusa.
No, it's a Harley, man.
Oh, come on.
You can go buy a Harley today that's still air cooled with an analog tack. They're the same motorcycles, and they have been.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean,
I 100% thought you were going to say the Busa.
No, of course. I'm in a Harley state of mind today.
No, to be fair, he's right. I just in the UK they hold I know they're expensive in the US, but in the UK they have quite a big price bracket, and to be honest, the dealership network isn't great and all that sort of stuff over it. Mm-hmm. It's a bit hit and miss on what ones you can get. So it's like, and that being said, there are a lot of people that do ride them, and they spend most of their time polishing them. But they're still good fun bikes. I'm a firm believer in that you should ride as many different types of bikes as possible.
I 100% agree.
In 5 years.
Yeah, the only bike I would say, and I am a little biased, but the only bike I would say in the past, 10, 15 years or so that really does tick off that kind of, esoteric, soulful kind of thing, I do think the Daytona 675 is a special bike, and it is really different, and it did change a lot for the middleweight category, and it does ride like no other sport bike. So that's the only exception I would make to your rule. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Triumph, especially in the last decade, have done incredible stuff with their bikes. Even like their sort of like the class, the Bonnie range and all that sort of stuff. Like they just sort of knocked it out of the park with a lot of the styling and just how they run and all that sort of thing. And fair play to them, because they've come back. And I think there's one other company that interests me at the moment. That's Royal Enfield.
Really?
Because they're a bit weird. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Like they went away to India. They sort of worked out all their kinks. And they've come back with this new twin-cylinder bike, and it hasn't got a lot of horsepower, but it is simple, but it's still got like some of the more modern touches to it. So, and the price point as well is pretty good. So in the UK, at least, I can't speak for the US, but they sort of interest me, because it's a bit like, well, this could be fun. This could be a good town bike. This could be a good sort of Sunday afternoon cruise around the country lanes and stuff. Yeah, that sort of interests me, just because of the simplicity of it, and to sort of try and get back to the idea of being able to work on your motorcycle again, which is a bit of an old thing now. Like I think a lot of people well, including myself, I don't like touching fuel injection bikes because I just know that if I mess something up, it's going to be expensive. Whereas a carb machine, I can kind of, as long as there's compression and spark and stuff, it's fine.
Yeah, you're an old soul.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
I love fuel injection, don't get me wrong, because I like actually having like some sort of like miles per gallon. And I also like having not to worry about rainwater getting in places it shouldn't do. But at the same time, like it's one of those things where you can't beat the sound of a carb, you can't beat the smell of a carb, and you can't, and the sort of some bikes especially, like the feel as well, like it just has this like instant power.
Yeah,
But,
well, you and Spike can talk about your shared love for carburetors on the Discord because we know he just loves them so much. But it was really nice talking to you, man. It was a really nice chat, and thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. We'll catch you on the Discord.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks, Wade.
All right, see you, man.
All right.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good chat. Was someone else trying to get in touch
Yeah,
with us?
we've got somebody who's called 13 times.
All right, we got to hit him back. Yeah. Let's give him a call back. Can we do that on here? Or?
I'm sure we could call him back, but he just called in 1 minute ago, so I'm sure he's getting ready to dial back in.
Yeah. Josh from VA, the only person in the world who has an XSR without an exhaust. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. I'm actually cleaning the chain right now.
Just kidding. You did the mod that a lot of people do, is just drilling the holes in it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What can we do for you?
Well, I figured we would talk about something that may not be popularly discussed, but it has to do with things opening back up once all this, COVID stuff starts to dwindle down. In terms of commuting to work, especially in the D.C. area, there's a lot of mass transit, whether it be the train, van pools, things like that. But with the push to continue social distancing once it opens back up, do you think it would be somewhat smart for motorcycle manufacturers to advertise a way to continue social distancing by commuting via motorcycle?
I think so, honestly. I mean, I've seen, I would say like a 50-50 split, at least on all the feeds I kind of look at, for what people are kind of saying around motorcycles and social distancing, right? Like I kind of see it, people will say things like, oh, motorcycles, the original social distancing machine, the kind of tongue-in-cheek about it, which I think at first people thought was kind of funny, and now people think it's a little taboo to say, but I kind of agree, I think that if you're in a place where, mass transit is super useful, that's great, but at a time like this, you could not pay me to jump on a bus or a train or anything like that. Any enclosed area with a bunch of other humans, I would way rather take my bike. Spike, what do you think?
Absolutely. And first of all, bikes are just cooler than taking the bus.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's something just about being in your own little, environment when you pop that helmet on.
Yep.
Not that the helmet is going to, work as a mask or anything like that.
No.
But, it is a decent way to just keep yourself isolated from other folks. And, I mean, there's no better way to go to work than on a bike.
Yeah,
So.
I think the only thing that might happen, though, is, I've seen this case where it's like, oh, riding right now is irresponsible because you're going to clog up health environments and health care providers and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like, I get that argument, but it's no more dangerous than, taking a car or walking down the street. Like, there's risk just involved in existing, and I think that singling out motorcycles for that is a bit silly, personally.
I mean, EMT still shows up if you get in a car crash.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The best thing you can do if you're worried about that is just slow it down and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Ride extremely defensively.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said. You were telling me recently how you really enjoy going down Lime Creek slow now because it's really pretty to just look around. So
it is. Yeah. Josh, what do you think?
Well, I definitely agree, especially with with the summer months coming up. If you start to think about, like in my area, van pools take up the HOVs to and from work pretty much all day, and that's 7 to 14 people. And now with the social distancing thing going on, that's now 14 cars on the road versus one van.
Mm-hmm.
And with people being worried about catching it via mass transit, even though the motorcycle helmet isn't a mask and it's not any more safe than staying at home or anything like that, the car situation, walking down the street, it's the same thing. A car is not a perfect bubble. Walking down the street with a mask is not a perfect bubble. You still present risks. So taking a motorcycle to work lessens the traffic. It's more fun, like we've already discussed. And I just think that it's one of those little niche things that, based on what we have going on right now, it could very well be a resurgence if it's advertised and pushed the right way.
Yeah, I can definitely see us being a part of the solution and not the problem. Like you said, I mean, you know, if that van turns into 14 cars on the road, it's probably the most inefficient way to move humans across space and time, where you could just put people on bikes and have them splitting through traffic or taking up normal amounts of space. Now, whether or not we're going to start looking like New Delhi or something probably remains to be seen. I think it's pretty unlikely to see, you know, thousands of people on the street on bikes. I just don't think Americans are willing to do that. But, you know, for all of us who are riding or on the fence of riding, you know, let's get out there and let's do a little bit of our part, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I'm going to get back to cleaning, and once I get back to work, I will be riding my bike for sure.
Sweet. And then if I ever have a random Leo Vinci exhaust for an XSR that's lying around, I'm going to send it to you because you deserve to put a real exhaust on your bike.
I won't hold my breath. I'll just continue saving up for one for now.
All right. See you, man.
See ya.
All right, everyone, that concludes our call-in section. Now we're going to run over to the funny comments of the week and then also what's on our minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like we only give back to you. We're going to talk about us at the end of the show now, so get ready for that. Alrighty, Spite, looks like we've got some pretty good comments for this week. Why don't you read the first one for me?
Our first one comes... Oh, okay. Great start. Our first one comes...
You weren't even reading yet.
I was pre-reading so that I wouldn't stumble over my words. Just worked out. Yeah, good. Fucking starting over. Well, I need my Topo Chico. Where is it?
Yeah.
All right. Our first comment comes from Gabe One Leo. Imagine forgetting to put the kickstand down on the Busa. That would really suck.
Oof. And
Doesn't
Gabe,
it?
Yeah. Gabe, as I replied on your comment, I have done that before. There was one time I was shuffling the Busa out of the garage, doing something or another, and somehow I must have flicked it with my foot as I was moving because I set it down, and she just went down. Mm-hmm. And the Busa, once you start feeling it go, there's nothing you can do. Mm-mm. It weighs 600 pounds. It's just going to go. I just let it go. I didn't even try. I just got out of the way and just let it, tumble. And it was pretty brutal because when I started getting it back up, I was just like shuffling it on the ground and just heard it crunching against the paint and the fairing. I was like, whatever. I don't care. It's the Busa. If it was any other bike, I'd just be weeping openly. But I was just grabbing the handlebar and just crunching it even more. I was like, just get this big pig up. And that's why we had to do so much paint correction that one time.
Yep. That was a big day, and it was thanks to Yam here.
Yep. I do, guys. I know it might not look like it, but I do mess up sometimes. I'm not a perfect individual.
Let's move on to our next, and this is a series of comments here.
That are all very good.
Yes. So why don't you take it from the top here?
Sure. Juan Fernando Gracia says, who the hell wants an R6 when you can have a Rebel 500? Which I think is hilarious. That's very funny. But then...
Daniel Rossis didn't seem to think so when he said, not even close. A Rebel's a cruiser and an R6 is the race bike. Totally different things.
And then Juan Fernando Gracia says, at Daniel, sometimes I wonder why sarcasm is so hard to get these days.
Daniel Rosses hits back, maybe that's because sarcasm doesn't translate well into text.
I felt like it was pretty clear.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I remember seeing that one in the video. I was like, man, that's funny. But yeah, to think that to reply so enthusiastically and so with fervor, to be like, they're not even the same thing. It's like, well, duh. Anyone with eyes can see they're not the same thing. Even if you're not into motorcycles, you see a Rebel and an R6, you're like, yeah, two very different bikes.
Yep. That's it's very chuckle-worthy.
Hilarious. But Spite, if you scroll down here, there's one that I thought was very funny that I wanted to read. This was from user Fee, who wrote a bit of an abstract, strange comment, I think addressed straight to me. He said, manscape me, manscape the F out of me while pooping a wheelie. Don't buy a two-banger when you can be the two bangers. And there's a lot going on here. I don't know if this is, a misconnections type of thing, or if he wants to, get to know me a little bit better. But Fee, I'm not taking applications right now, unfortunately, bud. And I never thought about it that way. Don't be a two-banger. You can be the two bangers. Spy, how does this sit with you? You look uncomfortable.
This is a lot going on here.
Pooping a wheelie is my favorite thing.
Yeah,
that should be our new thing.
I get the sense that this was either somebody desperately needed the autocorrect or the autocorrect overcompensated here.
They probably overcompensated, yeah.
But this is when you can be the two bangers.
I just love Manscaped the F out of me. No thanks. I'm good. I appreciate it. Appreciate the offer.
Oh, boy. Let's bring it back in line here a little bit. We'll see how far it goes, though. This was on our Street Triple tail tidy video where Marcus Whelan says, I imagine that Spite was daydreaming. Think of that great twisty road he was on a couple of weeks ago.
That was the video where I remember shooting that with you and then looking at it later in the viewfinder. You just looked and gazed out into the void for like a minute on camera. Yep. And then I loved in post, you zoomed in, you're like, is he alive? Is he alive? There he is. Yep. That was very funny. Yeah.
I think that was after, I can't remember if that was after we did the big effort shoot on the 300 650s.
It was after that day. Yeah, I put you through a 16-hour day on that one. Then had to come back in the morning and shoot the tail tidy install.
I don't think I had quite had enough caffeine before that shoot got started.
Yeah, and then I remember towards the end I was like, yeah, then we'll go out vlogging after this. You're like, okay. And then I was like, you know what, man, don't worry about it. We'll just call it a day.
That was worth it though. The fact that we got that little push-in gif of me being like, and the fact that we got the 300 650 video out of it made it all worth it.
Yeah, that was a great one. But we have an even better one coming next week based on the special bike that's coming on Friday. Friday, it's happening.
It's happening.
Don't miss it.
Tune in.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see how that whole thing happens.
Oh, it's gonna blow up. Yeah.
Kind of like this dude.
Yeah, this dude blew up. So Jordan C. said, in all caps, but I won't yell to save you guys' poor little ears. He said, the R6 below 8K RPMs is limited to like 55 horsepower. The F you talking about, Yammie? If you're responsible, anybody can ride an R6. Don't be dumb. Smarter than the machine, people. It's so good when someone talks about people being dumb and then they can barely write English. It's so good. And it's not even just like, because I know that there's sometimes folks who are not native English speakers, but they are trying, and that I can tell whenever they're trying. This is very clearly someone who knows how to speak English because they use TF, and then and they're using more internet speak. So this is definitely someone who can speak English, but just can't really write it.
This is someone who you really touched a nerve here. I'm assuming this guy's an R6 who like dailies it.
Yeah, or he started on the R6 and he's like, I did just fine. I survived on it. Anyone can do it. Yeah.
He really picked up the sword and shield to defend the R6 here.
Yeah, which is funny because I really went to bat for the R6 in that video.
Oh yeah, no, you were completely on its side, and you're right when you say that it's not a usable street bike. It just isn't.
Yeah, it's pretty lame as a street bike. And also, like, even though the R6 is pretty gutless below 8,000 RPMs, I still don't think it's good for a beginner. It's not a great option for a beginner rider. So Jordan, I'm sorry, bud, but people sometimes aren't smarter than the machine. So what are you gonna do?
This is a dude who needed some autocorrect.
Yeah. Now, Spite, I want you to read this next one from Roderick because this might be my favorite one of the week.
All right, let's do this. I'm 6'4", 220 pounds muscle, 150 IQ, and a 9-inch penis. Can I fit on a little Duke KTM?
Oh, it's so good. No, you can't. You're too much of a man for the Duke at that point. You need a Busa, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
You're 6'4", 220 pounds of gleaming muscle, big brain, 150 IQ, and a 9-inch penis. I mean, yeah, you need a Busa to match all that, right? Like, what other bike would you need?
It's the only machine that could convey you down the street.
There's no other bike that would allow you to go down the street and match all of your intrinsic personality like that. It's just an unbelievable thing to have.
Maybe we caught a Busa boy right here in the precipice of becoming.
Yeah.
This is like this is where they start.
This is right where the moment where he realized only one bike was for him.
Yes.
Yeah, this is him. So, Roderick, thank you. Give me a very good chuckle. Spike, do we have any more here?
Let's see. I believe that is the end of our comments for this week.
I want Yammie J.
I still see that every now and again.
Yammie J went to the great beyond.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. Yammie J went to the great beyond. He might come back at some point, though. You never know.
That would be fun.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe make a little cameo. Yeah.
They either show up and read half a list or do some VO for us.
That would be great. Yeah. I think no one would really see that coming.
No.
Yeah.
Except for the few people who are watching this right now.
All the way to the very end right now, they might chime in. So that's going to wrap up the comments for the week. Now we're going to do a bit of a different segment. We normally look at Craigslist crap bikes, but we thought we'd change it up this week, and we're just going to talk about stuff that's going on with us because it's free-flowing, open podcast format. Why not? You know, no one makes it to the end of these things anyways. We look at the analytics, it goes to 0.0% of people, like right there at the end, makes it all to the end. So, Spike, what's going on with you, dude?
Well, fuck, man. The main thing that I got going on is one of our Discord boys dropped this Harley on me, and I've recently really been itching to get back on a Harley.
You literally bring it up. I think every week we film together.
Yeah.
Every time we're here, at some point you'll be like, bro, that Harley, there's just something about a Harley. That's it's in your soul. I feel like I need to do it just to get it out of my system, honestly. Yeah.
And he sent me this. His buddy is selling this 2007 Roadster because he wants to get a Street Glide or something like that. And it's just... oh, it's so good, and I want it so bad.
It is a pretty motorcycle. I'm not even a Harley guy, but it is a cool-looking bike.
Yeah, and actually, the cool thing, I was doing a little bit of reading up on the Nightster, because it's not actually, it is an XL, which XL denotes the Sportster line, but they don't sell it with the Sportster moniker. They call it the Nightster, and it came out in 2007 and ran to like 2012, and it was the bike that really launched the Dark Horse Dark Horse is Indian. I'm sorry. I'm going to get completely reamed for that.
Don't worry. No one's watching this to the end.
Yeah, it's the very iconic Harley Dark image that really kind of launched with this Sportster. Mm-hmm. The blacked out rims with the limited chrome. Really, it's a very unique motorcycle, and these things are fucking awesome, dude.
Is it a 19-inch front end?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks big.
They run on 19s and then a big old cruiser tire in the back.
Yeah.
And this thing's got like 30,000 miles on it, so it's getting up there, but these Sportsters will run forever.
Yeah.
I want it so bad.
Well, what engine's in this thing?
This is the 1200.
This is the 1200?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this thing makes like, oh, I remember. I looked it up earlier. It makes like 69. No, I'm sorry. It makes 79.6 foot-pounds of torque.
Damn, I thought it was 69.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Yeah. The Roadster actually makes 69 horsepower.
Okay.
So there you go.
Sweet.
But yeah, this thing makes a buttload of torque at like 4,000 RPM.
But these 1200s, you can take them and put the kits on them and make them like ridiculous, right?
Yeah, these Sportsters are incredibly moddable. They're just a fun bike to own.
Yeah.
Lemmy, in his modding the Sportster series, really called it when he said they're like Mr. Potato Head motorcycles, because you can do anything you want to do to a Sportster. Someone's already done it, and they are now selling a part to do it. And this is just the iconic Harley look to me.
At some point, we're going to have a Harley in the shop. At some point, we have to do a Harley because... we have to. I have to experience it, I think, to be a more complete motorcyclist. I think just to calm your soul and your nerves, we need to have one at some point. And I think it would just be fun. It's just such a different thing.
Yeah, the Sportster ride is very unique.
Yeah.
If you're used to a sport bike, you're used to a bike where you let the clutch out and it just kind of goes forward. With a Sportster, you let the clutch out and the thing just lurches forward instantly. Like it grabs right away and it just pulls you into the street. It's a very fun bike, and they're not fast, but they don't feel slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some bikes, like a Ninja 300, they're not fast and they feel like it.
Yeah.
But the Sportster, because it has so much torque, It really does have a lot of punch where you want it, and it's just, they're fun and they're so sexy.
Yeah.
And this one is actually owned by a guy who works at a Harley dealer. So it's, of course, going to be taken care of very well because these guys have a lot of access that public humans don't.
Yeah. Well, Spite, I hope that you get this sports show at some point.
I would love to. Man.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Hopefully it happens with this one. We'll see if I can't finagle this. The math is there.
Mm-hmm.
The surrounding circumstances may not be, though. So we'll see.
No.
But let's see what's going on with you, because aside from crashing and breaking the drone all day.
Already, I've owned it for 20 minutes, and the first thing I did was yeeted it into a wall, which of course I did, right? Yeah, so with me, this past weekend I was up at the track once again, because that's basically, if I'm from over here at the shop, I'm at the track. It's like the two places I'm at right now these days with the whole coronavirus stuff. But when I was there was a Moto America Pro out there. And he actually knew who I was, which is really flattering. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so he came up to...
Bet you he's got the Vance and Hines short shots, same as on this bike.
I bet he does.
Yeah.
So he came up, he knew me from the channel, and we were chatting for a little bit. And, you know, guy's super talented. He's been riding since he was like 3 years old, racing since he was 4, like doing it for 20 years or something. And he was like, oh, yeah, if you want, like, we can go out and run some sessions. I was like, yeah, what kind of times are you running, right? Like, we'll try to run together. And he's like, oh, I think I put down like a 202, 203. And I was like, oh, I did like a 212. I was like, oh, you're running 10 seconds faster than me. Fuck. I was like, God damn it. But he was really gracious and gave me a lot of tips and tricks. And we went out together, and he actually filmed me riding. He was behind me and going, and I put down on that lap pretty close to my PR. I think it was like a 213.8 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Later on in the day, I was running like a 212, 211, which was great, but still, I never even broke 210s. And then he was, was riding, and it's funny, when he was behind me, it looks like I know what I'm doing, like I'm riding really well, I look like I got good form and all that. Once I wave him by towards the end of the lap, and he goes by, and you just see this dude start riding like he actually knows how to ride, and you're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, that's how a sport bike is meant to be ridden on track. So enormously helpful. I mean, the biggest thing that I'm struggling with still is just dead spots, like on the brakes or on the gas. I still coast a little too much for my own liking. And I'm just trying to tighten that up a little bit. And it's hard, man. It requires so much bravery at the end of the day. Like, it's so funny. Like, after a certain point, you know what you have to do. It's just like, oh, you just don't have the balls to do it.
Yep.
You know, you don't have the balls to brake like as hard as you can and trail it in and flick it in super quick and not let off the brakes and then immediately back on the gas. There's all these little techniques you have to stitch together. And at some point, you just have to reconcile with the fact that you're like, you know what? I'm not Rossi. I'm not Casey Stoner. I might never get to 202. I might never get to 2 minutes. Like, That's just a reality, you know? And at some point, I think it's important to keep trying, but then eventually you're just like, I might be reaching my limit here of what I'm comfortable trying on this bike, you know? And for me, after I've crashed, 3 times on track in the past 6 months, I'm at the point now where, like, a successful day is just, no rapid unintentional dismounts. Just a nice day where we had fun and, maybe I chopped off a second or half a second. That's cool. But, like, as long as I can put my bike back in the truck and I can head home without any bruises, cool.
Yep.
It's a good day. So that's kind of all that's really going on with me.
Do you think it would be of value to, if, the option arose for a guy like that to ride your Daytona around the track?
Not necessarily, because my machine is so fine-tuned for me. The geometry and the suspension and everything is set up for me to ride it. He could ride it, but he couldn't ride it. He could probably ride it faster than I ride it now, but not too much more, maybe just because he needs it to be dialed in for him.
Right.
Once you start getting to that, like, super high-level pace, your machine has to be really fine-tuned as well.
Gotcha.
I think for like a beginner, you're bringing in like a stock R6 or something, and you're trying to figure out how to ride on track. Like, any relatively reasonable like track day rider could jump on and put down a decent lap.
Right.
But to start getting to expert or like club level or professional pace, you got to have a machine that's dialed in.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But his R6, I was looking on the footage, definitely was geared way more aggressive than my bike. I mean, there's spots on the straight where he was up 2 gears over me where I was up like down 2 gears, Like on this one section, he'd be halfway through third where I was at the top of second. So he was at least like 3 teeth higher in the rear than I was.
Dang.
Yeah, so definitely a really different setup machine. Also, it wasn't his bike.
Yeah.
He was riding someone else's bike, so he was pretty comfortable pushing on it and just beating the crap out of it like a rented mule, because not his bike.
Because it was a rented mule.
Yeah. Whereas it was my bike, my precious Daytona. I'm not just gonna beat the absolute crap out of it. I beat it pretty good, but I'm not gonna. If you watch this guy ride, you're like, he's beating the crap out of this bike. And it's funny, there's a section he's on the back straight, and it just keeps popping out of gears and doing crazy stuff. It's this wretched little R6 that's just been beat to tattered crap. Yeah. But that's all that's going on with me. Yeah.
Sweet. I mean, it's been going pretty well so far. This whole, I mean, each week we've come in and just done something better. You know?
It feels like every week it's kind of additive, you know, like now we got the podcast set up. I crashed a drone. The level of production for the shoots, I think, are getting really good. And I'm really, really excited about that. And I hope you guys are excited about it too. But I think it's been really rewarding too to just show up and be like, let's try this or let's try that. You know, like it's really nice. Yeah.
Like today, we were supposed to go out and do a shoot, but we spent the whole morning just in here workshopping the script and you know, just being creative, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's really good. Like yesterday, I mean, we spent the whole morning just doing all those cool shoots for a video that's coming out next week. But I mean, it's great. Yeah, it's really, really great to do that kind of stuff, and it's just really nice to have the support of all of our members who allow us to do that kind of stuff. Because without you guys, it's pretty impossible to do this just based off of like, you know, YouTube bucks that rolls in. It's pretty tough. So thank you once again for supporting everything, and we try to make sure that we're making the best content possible for you guys to watch, and it's why, you know, we leveled up the podcasting stuff, and I can now talk into this mic like this, and you can hear my voice. That's probably really creepy, but whatever.
Getting some ASMR going.
Some ASMR. Yeah, something like that. I think the only other thing with you is the DRZ, right?
Oh man, dude. So we're officially, I ordered the carburetor on April 20th.
Is it like LMAO, first of all?
And it has been just an excruciating wait, and I get it. There's external circumstances going on that's keeping them from cranking out carbs left, right, and center. But we're not even into the 4 to 6 week target range that I was told we should be looking to expect. So I'm sitting there like the sad Pablo meme, just waiting for this carburetor to come in, because it broke down 4 podcasts ago now.
Yeah.
And we'd been talking about putting Electron in there, and I finally pulled the trigger on it, and I am just desperate to get it going.
Yeah.
Because I put a new spark plug in it. I put new oil in it.
I mean, it's gonna run like a champ.
I cleaned the gas tank. I did so much good stuff to it, and I put a new exhaust pipe on it because mine had a big gas leak in it, and it was a rusted piece of shit. Which when we finally do make that video, I have a nice performative act that I'm dreaming up with for just that pipe.
Yeah.
But I'm every time I come in, I walk over to it. And I'm like, I promise, we'll be going as soon as this comes in. We'll be on the road.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited to get it going.
The last time I even saw that thing running was when we were goofing around off road with the Scrambler. It was me, you were on the DRZ, I was on the Scrambler, and we were goofing around. That was the last time.
I think that's what killed it, honestly, because I was
Really?
I think I was beating it a little hard that day.
Yeah.
But.
That's
whatever.
the point, you know? Like, if it couldn't live up to that, it was going to fail at any time. You know?
Yeah.
'Cause you didn't ride it super hard that day. You were just having fun with it.
Yeah, and I think it's just down to a really badly clogged pilot jet. I don't want to stick a bunch of brass in there. I could probably resurrect the carburetor.
Yeah.
But it's just not worth it. I got the Electron on the way. So
yeah,
I'll just very impatiently wait.
That'll be a great video. Maybe we can do something high effort for that one, for your Electron install.
Go out to Click and ride 315, 316?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great route.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know about going that far out to do shakedown testing, but just bring your extra gas can and we'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you joining our new maiden podcast with this whole new mic situation. If you enjoyed it, if you have any suggestions for us, leave a comment down below. We always do love reading it. And, of course, thank you to everybody on YammieNoob.co. If you want to become a member, hit the link down below and support what we do. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.
Goodbye. Normal one this time.
Just a normal goodbye. Nothing weird. Nothing weird about it.